Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today I think I am solving a problem. I'm crossing my fingers that I'm solving a problem, and I figured that I would share the journey to fixing this with you guys. I'm getting ready to hit the road again, and in doing so I'm doing all the changes to my van to get it ready for the road, and that means that I am no longer going to have the temporary setup in the van, which is great, but it also comes with some interesting things that I now have to figure out. Let me explain. In my current van setup, I have the bed that is the trifold that pulls out to make couch mode or bed mode. The problem that I was having was I had a dresser that was sitting right behind my driver's seat so that I could put my things in it, but then I couldn't extend the bed all the way out. So I really wanted to be able to do that because it made sleeping a little bit weird, because figuring out how to sleep in a smaller space, even though I could kind of ball up, wasn't the most comfortable. And I know this mattress is comfortable, so I know that's not the issue. So after really putting a lot of thought into this, I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and put my shelf back in. And my shelf is something that I had in my other van setup where I had my static bed. And I really love the shelf. It's been on one side and then it's been on the other side, and both ways it worked out super well for me. So if you're new here, you're probably saying, why did you take it out in the first place? Well, life kind of threw me some lemons and I had to make some lemonade. I had an accident last year that still hasn't been completely fixed, and that's because of a part shortage. So instead of whining in my post toasties and getting super upset, I decided I'm just gonna modify my van and get on the road and do some things. And I have had so many adventures as a result of me making that pivot move, and I am so happy about that. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting here piddling, doing my little twiddle of the fingers, and really not thrilled. So instead of that, I've had tons of cool adventures, just not opening my back doors a whole lot. So I was thinking, how can I put my shelf back in and at the same time have access to the things that I need, and also allow me to keep this bed that I kind of really like? So the answer is actually pretty simple. Just reinstall the shelf. And I do realize that I may have to take this out in the future again to get the van fixed, but for now we're gonna live in the here and now. So I wanted to address priorities whenever I put that shelf in, because again, I still don't have the same setup I did when I initially had the static bed that went along with that. Now, why does that matter though? Well, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, under bed storage. I had so much under bed storage, which was a great benefit of having the static bed. However, at the same time, the negative to having the static bed was that to get to that under bed storage, to be able to use my flip out table and stuff like that, I had to use the back doors. That's out. I cannot use the back doors for just daily function stuff like that until they are fixed. So instead, keeping this couch bed is going to allow me to have room in my space, which is really nice. And to be honest, I absolutely love that. But it is going to limit the amount of things I can put in the van, which means I have to rethink how I'm using the shelf. Now, there are certain things that will definitely be on the shelf no matter what. I have 3 bins that I keep my clothes in. Those will stay exactly how they are, other than the fact that I'm actually replacing the bins with new bins because they needed to go and be upgraded. So that part, check. That's super simple. But that means everything else that I needed that was actually stored under my bed now has to find a place on a shelf that already had things on it, which means some things are going to stay at base camp, some things are going to hit the road, and some things have to be reimagined, which is what I'm going to be doing this evening. I know it's a lot. It's a lot just explaining it, but picture living in it. It's been chaos. Everything in my van at one point came completely out and came into my tiny home. And I didn't want it to be front and center here in my living room because people come in and out. So I put it all in my bedroom, and I've been existing with this for months. And so I'm so happy that this huge piece, this massive shelf, will no longer be in my bedroom. But at the same time, in the meantime, it's like, wow, how can I reimagine this where everything I absolutely need fits, and at the same time makes sense? So when it comes to the appliances and the cooking materials and things like that, there's going to be a process that I have to go through where I really have a moment where I think, okay, I'm traveling with my friend, therefore I need enough to cook for me and my friend. At the same time, that means I'm going to be taking the more bulky items. With that comes a pro and a con. So I'll deal with that later. I can't even fathom that at this moment, but I'm gonna go out to the van and pick up that other bin, and then I'm gonna take care of the food. I can do that. Upon filming this, we still haven't taken down our Christmas lights, and yes, in fact, it is beyond the time where they should be down for most people, but we love Christmas. And it just makes me so happy to walk outside and see this. It's really hard to get inspired after you've seen so many brilliant, beautiful colors, and then you just have to take them down. So I'm not doing this on purpose. I really am just trying to get through the points where I need inspiration, and then I can take these down, because I know there's gonna be like this empty feeling once they're gone. And I don't really care if people think that we're the weird Christmas people, because, well, if you haven't been watching my tiny home channel, the cabin is going to stay Christmas, because it just brings me joy to see twinkle light. But for now, it's time to go out to the magical land and go on to the dark side of the van. Literally, it's on the wrong side. Oh no. Okay, back in the house I go. This one's not that bad, except for it's really gotten damaged along the way. Okay, keys are put away. Now it's time to switch into my inside shoes, and then I can get this party started. Okay, the best place to start this process is by removing all my tags now, and then after I do that, making sure I don't have anything that needs to be added to my bin for the time being. I'm not gonna do a full grocery pack probably. I'm just gonna pack what I already had and kind of weed through the things that I have and the things that I might need. Some of these stickers are on here pretty good. Overall, depending on how the shelf works out, I may just put food on this shelf. But I also need to consider that I may have to put my cooking devices on this shelf, and this is not a huge shelf. So figuring out that is really big right now. Also, this part of the process is my least favorite part of the entire thing of me traveling, doing van life, anything, because even though it is quite therapeutic to actually get things into their space, is this going to work? And not knowing the conclusion to that at the end of a single project is not great. It's not great. So again, I'm going to try to pack 2 of them and leave 2 of them open just in case. And some of this might have to change. I don't know. Maybe I'll add more. Maybe I'll have to reduce. Oh gosh. So I guess the best place to start this is to unpack all the things that I had in here from my travels and figure out what's what and what needs to be changed out, replaced, removed, anything like that. I'm just going to kind of put it all out here just with no rhyme or reason to start with. Okay, this all came out of there. Obviously, some of this will not revisit the place. For sure, this is going to stay in there because I always like to keep canned chicken, so that's for sure going in there. This is brand new, so I'm going to be putting that in there for sure. And then this, I probably need to rework a little bit, but this definitely stays. That's coffee, tea, honey, everything that I drink that's warm. So that's good. I also always keep a couple of different packets of oatmeal. These have gotten so beat up, but they're still good. I just check them to make sure that they haven't gotten opened or anything. So those will still go in there. And for now, I'm not putting this in order. I'm just putting literally the things that I'm keeping in these. Now again, this is the first step. I'm just sorting through the things to figure out what I do and do not have. And also if there are things that I think I need to get to put in here, and I'll make a list as I'm going. I'm not ready to take off yet, so I'm not going to do that grocery shop, but this is all dry bin stuff that does not necessarily have to be in a refrigerator. Plain pasta. I like to keep my plain pasta, instead of in a box that takes up a lot of room, I put it into these different size bags. And I know that for me to eat by myself, about half of one of these is a hefty, good meal. So if I was to pack for me and Riley, one of these would be perfect for the 2 of us. So staples like this that are just like plain pasta that you can mix with various things are great, and they don't take up a lot of room. So that's not too bad. So I'm definitely going to have to make some more of these little pasta packs probably, just because they're super easy. Also, these are awesome because you can make them a variety of different ways. So even though So this is a creamy chicken and vegetable dish skillet where you could see it can make up to 5 servings there. If I was to use this for just myself, I could portion this where I don't use the whole packet so I'm not overwhelming myself with the seasoning. And again, this is for 5 servings. Versatility is huge, and sometimes it's really hard to carry all of the seasoning that you love in a tiny space. I have 35 square feet, so I have to pick and choose what I am taking with me. And I do carry my own fair share of actual spices, but I like flavorful food, so if I can find a mix that I like the flavor of okay, I usually test them out here in my tiny home first. I'll grab them, and then I can use those, and one of those packets will get me 2 or 3 meals usually. Of course, as always, I'll keep a few Mountain Houses with me. These are the 2 that I had left from my last trip, so I'm gonna have to add some more, but for now, again, just setting them in the bin. I also like to keep these. I really enjoy that you can use these in so many different ways. I don't know what else to say about that really, other than the fact that this is a great way to season things for pasta. It's also a great way to add something to a wrap or a sandwich without having something huge. Stuff like this, super handy. Again, lots of flavor, little tiny space that it takes up, and it's something that goes in so many different things, and that way you can have some variety. Same thing with rice. I add what the instructions are onto the packaging so I know exactly what to do, and that way I don't have to keep up with the box or a piece of paper inside of the rice. I can just dump what I want into a measuring cup and then put it into the water. This is instant rice, which I do prefer simply because it doesn't take as much power or energy or fuel to make, and so this is 5-minute rice. It is perfect for what I like. I also keep a couple of these always just because they're super easy. They are a little bit higher on sodium, but typically on days that I'm having adventure days where I don't want to have to pull out a skillet or a kettle or anything like that, I'll just take these and make a little wrap out of these, and typically just some hummus or something, and they're really, really good for that. Same thing with mashed potatoes. You can't really go wrong, although I have found an alternative to this that's actually a bit more efficient than even just buying one of these little bags. The little bags at Walmart are like $1. It's not that bad, right? But if you go to Winco, you can get the same potato flakes in a much larger amount, and they're less expensive. And so what I've been doing recently is going to Winco and bulk item buying certain items that I have. And then I will take it and I can portion it out, put it in my van, and again, just write the instructions on there. It takes up less room than the packaging does for this, but also it's just super efficient. I really like that. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. Instead of taking this, I'm going to package up some of those potato flakes, and then I'll use these here at base camp. Now let's talk hot sauce. I really enjoy having something that I can just add some flavor, and it doesn't always have to be light you on fire hot sauce, but I need something that can punch up some things, because some things, let's face it, are just not as punchy as I would like them to be. So I have this hot sauce that I actually purchased while I was on the road, and this kind of violates my golden rule when packing the van. It's glass. I don't like carrying glass in the van. I've had some traumatic things happen carrying glass. I found now there is an alternative, and it was actually from Walmart. Tiny sauces. I know. It's probably not as big of a bargain to most people as it is to me, but these are $1 a piece. So $1 a piece, and it's a tiny little hot sauce. In fact, let me show you the difference. Regular hot sauce, tiny hot sauce. Now, a few differences between these two. This one obviously is going to cost a little bit more because it's larger, and it also has more product in it. This is going to be smaller and only cost $1, but you also don't get as much stuff. So if I was to buy enough to equivalent to this one bottle over here, I probably would end up paying a little bit more for this particular hot sauce than I did for this hot sauce. But that's subject to where you are and where you're buying hot sauce. For example, there are really inexpensive hot sauces at Walmart's and Dollar Trees and things like that, where you can get them for $1.25 or $2 or even $3. So in that sense, yes, the tiny hot sauce is going to be more expensive. However, one of the benefits to the tiny hot sauce, other than the fact that it's in a plastic bottle, is that I can try out different kinds of hot sauce to see if I like them and not be fully committed to a big bottle. I don't know how many times I have bought a big bottle of hot sauce and thought, ooh, those flavors sound great. And then I've gotten it and it's been like womp womp. But with this, I feel way less committed if it's womp womp. It's $1 and I can eat $1's worth of hot sauce and then I can move on because that's not the only hot sauce. In fact, all of these were all in the dollar section at the local Walmart. And I am so excited about this because I know for a fact that I love Yellowbird. And so I've tried both of those and I really enjoy them. And on top of that, I can get them as frequently or infrequently as I need because some of these hot sauces you're not using every day. I think you're seeing where I'm going with this, right? Small matters sometimes. So I can try out all sorts of things. I can have different kinds of flavors. If I want to make tacos and I want them to be more robust, I can pull out like this guy right here that's gonna light me on fire and make me feel real good about life, but at the same time, hurt a little bit, but in such a good way. But if I'm wanting to make something that's like a chicken dish, I could pull out this guy, the peach bourbon one. This could be so good too. Peach bourbon with chicken has a very different vibe than the green one here. This is gonna be more of a chili base that's like a green chili. So I think I really like this because again, much like the seasoning packets, it gives me options. They also have barbecue sauce. So barbecue sauce is something that I rarely would ever get when I'm on the road because there is no way I am going to eat an entire bottle of barbecue sauce. And it is bulky, so it takes up room in my space that I really don't have because now I have the smaller refrigerator. So these guys are perfect. I can pull out some pork and cook it up, or I can do some chicken and cook it up, or I can just take some of this and slather it on just about anything I want to and cook it up. And now I don't have to be committed to a big bottle. So these are definitely going in the van. So are all of these going in the van? I don't know. I'll probably select a few, but like these are all the barbecue sauces. I have 4 different barbecue sauces over here, and then the rest of these are all hot sauces. So I'll probably pick out a few of these that I'm the most interested in, and then I'll like match up the flavors with the food that I'm packing, and then I'll leave the rest here. The nice thing about this is when I come back to base camp, I can restock because I already have the micro sizes in the plastic and I have a good place to store them here, and they're good until 2025. These things are awesome. I got a bunch of them whenever I was at the Mountain House retreat, and these are my last ones. So I probably will end up reordering this drip drop just because it is really good. However, I'm not going to put this in my food bin because I'm going to put this in a different part of my van. I'm going to put this in my adventure pack because that way I'm using this when I'm adventuring. So I want to put it in there. And the only bad thing about drip drop that I can find that isn't really a terrible thing, it's just kind of a challenging thing, is drip drop can't be used in my water bottles that have a filter because it just gets hung up in the filter. So with this, I have to intentionally pack the bag with a different water bottle. So I'll put this where the water bottle will be, so I'll remember that. So this is going, just not in here. On the other hand, my chia seeds are definitely going in there because I love to make chia pudding. I have some granola bars and some fruit bars that are definitely going back in there. These are great grab and goes for whenever I'm out hiking or if I just need something because I haven't eaten. I found these little fruit bars whenever I was at Big Lots, surprisingly, and they're 100% just fruit, nothing else, and I love them. I may have to get some more granola bars too. I may have some though in my stocking area. I have an area that I keep my van stuff where I stock up and then I purchase more, and then when I see that my reserves are getting low, I stock up again, and I think I did buy some more granola bars. Sure enough, I have 4 more. Okay, last but not least, Skippy peanut butter. I already had this. It's still good. It hasn't even been opened yet, so this is definitely going with me. And now comes the hard part. I have to figure out what I have that's in my pantry that I need in these boxes, and I'm doing really well on space. Again, not even organized, and that cut down so much of just the regular clutter. So after I get them organized, it'll be fabulous. Earlier we were talking about bulk buying, and I actually picked these up at Winco. You can still see the little tab on them. The way this works is you get as many as you want, and then you write down, there's a number on the item tag, and you write it on your little twisty, and then based on that number, they just type it in and they're able to get the price. So I love buying these guys in bulk, and then I portion them out into single servings. So I'm gonna do that right now. and I'll go ahead and just put them into little bags. I always say it looks worse before it gets better, and it's definitely that today. I'm almost out of bags, and I just went to the store, so I don't know what I was thinking. So this is going to be short-lived. I'm only going to be able to do 2 pasta bags, so I need to pack 2 pasta bags for 2 people, and actually that might be okay because we don't need to eat pasta every day, and these little guys right here, they're super good, but at the same time, they're super filling. So I would prefer to kind of do different kinds of pasta, I think, other than just this one, but these are just super easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my portioning, put it into serving sizes so it's already ready. And then these bags, as I travel on the road, I can refill them with other items as I pick up replacement stuff. So I think that that's also a really nice way to make even a regular bag where it can have a little bit longer life. I also have some reusable bags, but I prefer to put the pasta in these just because it's a little bit more flexible. So I've opened up the bag, and I always make sure to open it up nice and wide. And then I go into my big bag with just a measuring cup and, ooh, spilling things. And then I just take that and put it into the bag like so. And I make sure that I have enough for 2 people. So as you can see, 2 bags, that's 3 cups each. So that would actually be more than what would be in a box. And it takes up less room because it's movable. So a box would just be kind of like this. It's bulky, it's weird. You can't put as many things in. There's a lot of air in them. And by having so much air in a box, what happens is you just end up carting around extra stuff because you can't fit as many things, and most of the things that you have are just air. So again, this is, of course, a slider bag box, so that's not the same. But even if I was to take the slider bags, I would take them out of the box and I would roll them up because this box, when it was full, still didn't have bags all the way out to the edges. And so it's ridiculous to carry square things in a minimal space. Instead, just make the space work for you, and you can take things and flatten them out, and then they're less bulky. Or if you have to put them into something that already has other stuff, you can set them in there a lot better than you could have set this box in there. See? See how that doesn't work as well? Van life has taught me that just being a little bit outside the literal box matters. And being able to creatively think about things, whether it's something big or small, can reduce your stress in a small space. Keeping your things cleaned and organized is a huge part of van life, but also making it efficient where you're not having to like rustle through stuff all the time just to get to the thing you want, or making yourself stressed out because you feel like you can't fit things into the space like with the box. I think is something that takes a little bit of an adjustment from living in a standard home. For example, in my standard home, I have these things. These are all regular boxes. However, if I was to take, for example, this box, which is my instant bubble tea kit, and take it out of the box, which is bulky, the only thing I actually need are these 2 packets and this straw, which takes up so much less space. Now, in a cabinet, it makes sense to do this because it makes everything front face and look normal and easier to find because, again, you have more space. But in a van, this makes more space. You just take these things, you put them in a bag so you know they belong together, and then you put them in a bin. And just make sure that it's not something that could pop. And then you make sure that bin is organized. That's the thing. Organizing the bin. Same thing with cake mixes. Again, takes up space. And this one's actually been damaged as a result of me trying to keep it in a box in my van. And guess what? It's just bulky. But the product itself only comes up to about here. Again, think literally outside of the box whenever you're doing your van. That's what I always do, and it works out pretty well for me. Now, I still have to figure out if I'm going to be able to use those other 2 bins. But if I can't, I think I'm going to be okay. I have a good selection of things thus far, and I kind of have a list cultivated as to what I need to purchase. So I'll be able to do some portioning and things like that after I get some more bags. So that's the first thing on the list. More bags, or find my snack bags. I think they're still in the van. So maybe that will be a task for tomorrow. This is what it looks like right now. Again, pretty rough looking, hasn't been fully organized. Again, I won't figure out the organization quite yet because I may still be adding one more of these bins, depending on if I need it for the actual cooking supplies. I'm pretty sure at least one of these is going to have some cooking materials in it. I'm not sure. I also need to leave myself a little bit of space for my extra butane, but I'm in pretty good shape now. This is the length of the shelf, and this gives me a lot of hope. I know I'll be adding in some more Mountain House meals. That's a given, but those can actually store up on the roof also because they're in a very special kind of bag that not only can I store them in, but I can also make the food in. So worst case scenario, I just have a couple of them in the van physical and the rest of them are up on the roof. That's not a big deal. That's food that can actually go on the roof, and that's a very rare thing. I don't like to put normal things that I'm going to need to access up there, but that just kind of makes sense. I'm also going to try to get a couple of soups just because I really want to have a few warmer things to eat that are super simple. So I'll be getting a couple of different cans of soup. I just kind of want to go browse a little bit. I haven't bought soup in a while, and so I want to see what's out there. And so that's going to be in there for sure. And then I want to get those mashed potatoes portioned out so I can have mixes that are already pre-portioned for 2 people. And I'll do those into those little snack bags and then just write the instructions on the front. So I am feeling a bit better than I was when I started out doing this. There's still a lot to go though. So I hope this video was helpful on some of the tips as to how I reduce packaging and also make my mental switch of changing over things in my van. This is going to be a long process. There's going to be several things I still have to do installing the shelf itself, and then these things will fall into place a bit better. But there's a little bit of time to go. Not much. Riley will be here any day. No pressure, right? Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and I'm about to have a wonderful time on the road, but sometimes to get there, you got to go through the hard stuff first. Till next time, guys. Bye.